Thank you, Joy. Hold off just a second. Tonight, we're honored to have cadets from Franklin High School Junior ROTC, and they're going to be able to present the colors, and they'll also be doing the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Sophia Kimball will be leading the Pledge of Allegiance, and then presenting the colors will be the following cadets: Valles, Palencia, Rizzo, Soto Perez, Alejandro, and Paez. I need to call the roll first, please. And Alderman Barnhill.
Present.
Alderman Blanton.
Here.
Alderman Caesar.
Here.
Alderman Peterson.
Here.
Alderman Berger.
Present.
Alderman Brown.
Present.
Alderman Potts is absent. And Alderman Baggett.
Present.
And the mayor's here also. So if you'll now, I will, Sergeant Major Moore, please. And we'll all please stand.
Left turn, march! Color guard, halt!
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Barnhill, would you please lead us in an invocation?
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight in prayer, thanking you for this tremendous nation that we live in. We know that there are freedoms and that we have that are because of you and because of your understanding. We also understand that we have people who protect those freedoms. We have first responders. We also have the military that protects our freedoms overseas. We ask that you be with these people. We know that it is a trying, difficult time, and we know that there's a lot of chaos and confusion in this country. We ask your blessings upon the leaders, our national leaders, as they deal with these agenda items. We also ask your blessings upon us as aldermen. When we make decisions, give us the spiritual wisdom and guidance to make the decisions that are good for the city of Franklin. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
March on, march! Left, left, right turn, march! Left, left, forward, march! Left, 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 left.
Let's give them a big hand. As they're departing, this is a great group of young people. They have a great program at Franklin High School with great participation, and they're always looking for community projects. And they've done a lot of volunteer work in our parks in the past. And this year, they'll be looking for some this coming year, additional projects, and they'll be trying to raise a little money to continue to enhance their program at Franklin High School. So if that's something that interests you, please reach out. So now, we're going to set the agenda and are there any considerations of changes in the agenda and the order of the agenda? If not, I would look for a motion.
I move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Appropriate motion second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Next is citizen comments. I have a number of speaker cards, but they're on specific items, and I have no other speaker cards for items not on the agenda, so we'll consider those when we consider those items. I have no communications from the Williamson County Commission. I do not see any commissioners here to recognize them. So we'll now go to approval of the minutes, which should read May the 14th, work session and Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. Alderman Peterson, you're recognized.
I would like to defer the approval of these minutes until our June 11th meeting.
And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And the reason being that they were just released late and hadn't been a chance to completely review those by some of the aldermen. So if there's no other additions, corrections, we'll go to a vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Are there any recognitions or miscellaneous reports? Seeing none, we'll go to the consent agenda, and all items on the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature, but the governing body, they will be approved as recommended by committee or staff by one motion. We're considering items number 20 through 24 tonight. So is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 4. This is a public hearing, consideration ordinance 2023-41, and ordinance to amend Chapter 4 of Title 16 of the Franklin Municipal Code concerning road impact fees. Is there any staff that's going to speak to this?
I can. Paul Holson, our city engineer, wasn't available this evening, but as discussed previously, we have a phased approach for the implementation of the road impact fees. And again, we had two separate independent consultants look at the methodology and the data that help us arrive at the fee schedule that's proposed that you've approved in first reading and are considering at this time. I know there's several of our development partners that are in the audience, and in the economy today with high inflation, high interest rates, certainly the fees are impactful to how a community grows. But I would remind you that our road impact fee model provides for the offsets of improvements that a developer makes based on the impact of their development. And those are proportionate to the fees that are in that model, so they can recapture their investment too. So there's a balance is what I'm trying to share with you as you listen to those that may be speaking this evening and as we move this forward.
Mayor, I have a point of order. This is second of 3 readings. I had heard, I wanted to make clear, is this a 3 reading item? It's not a 2, okay. Okay. Just want to make sure, because there was some in the public who thought that maybe this was the one and, second of 2. Thank you.
So, thank you, Mr. Girth, and given that, we'll go ahead with people that wanted to speak on this item. And I would ask, I'll allow 2 minutes per speaker, and I'll just call off the names and ask you to line up in that order if you would. John Shealy, Greg Gamble, Dirk Melton, Rachel Blackhurst, Glenn McGee, Brad Knoll, Alex Chambers, and Ralph Knaus. And so, John, welcome.
Thank
Your
you.
2 minutes is starting.
Okay. I'm John Shealy with the Home Builders Association of Middle Tennessee, and we'd like you to ask that respectfully if you could defer this for a few meetings so that we can meet to go over some of the details. I'm fully committed that all the information's online. I just can't find it. Specifically, the June of '23 report from Duncan, just to show what elements or how we came up with the percentage coming from impact fees as it pertains to the projects that y'all are planning on doing. I'd also like to point out that there's been a recent ruling from the Supreme Court on impact fees that we're still digesting as well, that deals with, excuse me, a condition of permit, which was actually born out of the Metro Nashville sidewalk case a couple of years ago. But in there, they still call for a rational nexus, but they're also talking about direct impact on the project. And I don't know how that filters out into the world. So I just want to put that out to you. And, you know, we're more than happy to sit down and go over the data at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell.
Hi again, my name is Greg Gamble, land planner, landscape architect. My office is here in Franklin and do quite a bit of land planning and design work here in Franklin, Tennessee. It's an exciting, dynamic city to be a part of, and I love it. I have many clients that I'm representing tonight. I have added up all of the current development plan entitlements in the city of Franklin. Those are available through the development reports that are provided every year by staff. But I've applied the impact fees, traffic impact fees to those. Today, if there's no change in impact fees, the existing PUDs alone pay $135 million in impact fees as they develop over time. Next year, in January of 2025, that number is going to go up. If this is adopted this evening or at the third reading, thank you, Patrick. That number increases $70 million to $204 million. But in 2026, in just a 2-year period of time, these existing approved development plans will have to pay an additional $155 million. So that goes from $135 million to $290 million, excuse me. Those are numbers that weren't factored in the beginning when they got their original financing, when they got their loans in place. I have many developers right now, clients of mine, who are on hold waiting for interest rates to come down. They're in a holding period. These are real numbers that have real financial impacts to existing developers here in Franklin with current entitlements. Thank you.
Mr. Melton.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Dirk Melton with Market Street Enterprises. As you know, we're working on the redevelopment of the former Primus building, 9009 Carruthers Parkway, with the goal of turning it into a mixed-use community called Eastworks District. We sure appreciate the work that has gone into the roadway impact fee proposal and the opportunity to engage with the city along the way. In my brief remarks, I'll just share a quick illustration of how this proposal affects our specific project and make an observation that I hope you'll consider. In short, the proposed roadway fee increases do not appear to make a distinction between new developments on greenfield sites and infill developments where most of the roadway infrastructure already exists. In our case, we're developing a mixed-use community around an existing building supported by existing roadway network that supports our site and many others. To fully support our build-out over that many years, we've agreed to a whole series of off-site roadway improvements to support our development and to benefit our neighbors. The total cost of that work is pretty close to the roadway impact fees that our project would pay under the current fee schedule, about $14.5 million. In this, there's a general relationship between our actual impacts and the cost to mitigate those impacts. With this new fee proposal, we're probably only going to be able to deliver one building before the fees are fully implemented in 2027. If the rest of the development is subject to the new fee schedule, the cost goes from $14.5 million to almost $37 million, which is not only more than double, but would bear no relationship between those new fees and the impacts of our project. Our project in a lot of Cool Springs is going to be reimagined in the future, absorbing a lot of the burden of growth away from outlying areas of the city. If we want to encourage that kind of smart growth, in my humble opinion, we might consider a fee schedule that makes a real distinction between greenfield and infill. At the very least, we would appreciate the opportunity to continue to work with the city if this theme can be explored further. You have a lot of thoughtful local developers in the room, and we roll up our sleeves and figure this out if we have a little bit more time to do so. As always, thanks so much for making the city of Franklin a great community, and appreciate your consideration.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Rachel Blackhurst. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for NAIOP, which is the Commercial Real Estate Development Association. First, I do really want to express our gratitude to Vernon Girth and Paul Holzen, who's not here, but they really have worked with us diligently on this, and I know that it's been taking up a significant amount of their time, so we appreciate their efforts. Really here tonight to restate NAIOP's concerns about the proposed impact fee increase. Our main concerns being the percentage of project costs spent on fees, the current state of development, the outsized effect on local developers, and then also, as John Shealy, our friend with the Home Builders Association, mentioned, would like to respectfully encourage a discussion around the legal basis for these fees, given recent Circuit and Supreme Court decisions around impact fees. So even with the 2-year phase-in that was approved at the last meeting, we do have deep concerns about this being an exponential increase in fees. Just for context, the average mixed-use project right now is paying around $11 million in fees. This will bump up to $17 million in fees. And right now, with construction costs being quite high, you're looking at fees representing about 15% of total project costs. Aside from posing, just a cost burden on development, given current trends in commercial real estate, we think that the city should look at whether or not these collection of these fees is achievable, given the forecasted development trends. Regionally, 2023 was a pretty rough year, actually, with lending down about 90% and expected to continue into 2024. Of course, I'm not going to get up here and say development's going to grind to a halt, anything like that, but like I've stated in the past, we think it will winnow out who's able to develop in Franklin. It might not be any longer the guys in this room who you're used to working with who drive on these roads, send their kids to school here in Williamson County and Franklin. It might be more, you might see more out-of-town investment. And finally, as I stated earlier, I'd like to respectfully ask for discussion on recent Supreme Court cases, Knight versus Nashville and Sheets versus El Dorado County, which ruled quite narrowly on the conditions of fees and permit requirements and what could be allowed. And in both cases, they ruled that there was violations of the constitutional takings clause, which bars government from forcing a few people to bear the full cost of a public program that the public as a whole should pay for. So if we could have some time as a development community to digest these decisions and have more discussion with you all about the impact, no pun intended, of these decisions, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Please, Mr. McGee.
I'm Glenn McGee with South Star. Our offices are here in Franklin, and I've been a resident of this community since 1992, of which I'm very thankful and very proud to be able to say that. I also extend my appreciation to this board, as well as our staff and the team at the city on all the work that goes in on so many things and at so many levels on what's going on. I concur with what all my fellow stakeholders have said, and I'll add a few things to that. I'll try not to repeat anything, but certainly we feel like, and we've been referred to as great development partners by many of those at the city, including members of this board, and we appreciate that. And we believe that a development partner gets a seat at the table, which we've also felt like we've had. Back last November the 27th of 2023, we got an email from some executive staff here that said there was going to be a workshop the very next day for this board, and which was done. And I have the minutes from that board meeting, and many of you said and asked for some creative alternatives to achieve the city's financial goals for road improvements that were needed. Again, we've been on a lot of emails, but I haven't seen anything in relation to what are alternatives. I appreciate that Vernon has told you that we've had 2 consultants to come in and analyze how these fees have been structured. Were they fairly done? Are they accurate? And that was said, yes. That doesn't preach to me alternatives or creative ways to accomplish the same goals. So I would ask this board, if anything like that has come to you guys that hasn't been shared to us. In addition to that, I just found out this was really all going on over a week ago. Shame on me, shame on my office that we didn't know. But in the past, as that development partner, as that person that had seats at the table, we've been told we would be kept up to date. That same email that went out last year said, please be assured that you will be kept up to date as these conversations evolve. I certainly don't feel like that. I will tell you this, that the road impact fees alone to the REM project, which is 18 and a half developable acres at the corner of McEwen and Carruthers, our impact fees for roads alone will go up $1 million an acre. Now, we've had one residential development partner, that's when we went out there and started construction, who could not get financing. They've fallen to the wayside. We have gotten someone else who will not be pulling permits till after the first of the year. We just went through workshop last week, so we're excited about that. But those fees at that point will double, okay, for that individual, from about $5,200 a door to right at about $10,000 a door. However, the majority of the project will not take place, nor will we be pulling permits until 2026. I respectfully ask this board to defer this indefinitely, not so that we never vote on it, but to allow us to have the discussions, pick back up where we left off last November, which was the last meeting that stakeholders were invited to. And because I would like to see some of those creative alternatives that many of you asked to see. I don't feel like that's up to okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brad Canali. I'm with Embry. We are a development firm based in San Antonio, Texas, but with a fairly active presence here in Franklin. So I want to thank you for the opportunity tonight to speak. Being with Embry, I've had the opportunity to work across our entire portfolio, which includes about 7 states across the Southeast and the Southwest. And I can assure you that this impact fee discussion is going on in many other communities just like Franklin. However, in talking with my colleagues and personally working on some of the developments, one thing I would like to point out is that the increase in impact fees that are being voted on in cities just like Franklin are being phased in, but they are following the entitlement period. Having worked on 3 communities in Franklin since 2012, I have experience of working with a lot of you sitting here tonight, a lot of new faces too, but your average entitlement period from development plan concept all the way through building permit has averaged us about 18 to 20 months. And every single time we've come in with a plan, developed a development plan, developed a site plan, moved into building permits, and then executed on those building permits. So we've done the full cycle. The key is, the interesting thing or the significant thing about that is everything has been predictable. And so do I think these fees are justified? I'm not here to say they are. I haven't read the report, to be honest. I imagine they are. Everything has gone up. Construction costs are increased. But give the developer a chance. You've heard tonight about interest rates. We're just closing on a construction loan down in Spring Hill and paying 11% interest on a construction note. Initial underwriting was 5%. So the impact of about $1.2 million to $1.5 million in increased impact fees on the development that Glenn just talked about is more like a $2 million hit to the overall project. It's very hard to predict and spend the pre-development dollars, which on any significant development of any size is between about $1.5 million and $2 million of front cost that a developer puts forward for a project before they ever put a shovel in the ground. So being able to predict the fees on the front end on day one is very important to developer success on the back end. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm Alec Chambers with Highwoods Properties. We're one of the largest owners and investors of commercial real estate in Franklin. I've had a great long-term track record here, along with many of our competitors and allies in this particular discussion. Here today for the specific request to ask that we defer this decision indefinitely, as Glenn said, while we have a chance to pick up the good faith negotiations or discussions we were having with the staff last summer going into last fall, and then they just kind of petered out. And then for all of us, I just found out about this on Friday. Everybody's been kind of in the same boat where we're just finding out about this, and we're the people who care the most and are trying to track it. Specifically, we're trying to develop Ovation, Carruthers and McEwen across from Orium. And we've got $60 million in land, over $25 million in infrastructure. By our calculation, under our existing entitlements, for a 2027 development, our impact fees would go from $21 million to $57 million. That's $37 million. And from a landowner perspective, that's basically saying that our land is now worth $37 million less than it was if y'all pass this. And that's a big number. And, we're the ones trying to invest in Franklin, and we love your support on this, and just ask for y'all to give us a chance to keep working on it. We were there. We'd like to talk about the phase-in schedule. We'd like to talk about alternative funding mechanisms that may be available, or things that we need to create. Because there are other ways to do this in other communities. I think we can figure it out in Franklin. Thank you.
Good evening, Ralph Knauss with South Star. It's great to be before the board as always, and thank you for your time. I want to point out a couple distinctions that I feel like I need to just draw attention to. First of all, Berna, thank you for referring to us as development partners. I believe everybody that's came up here tonight to have discussion is a development partner with the city, and we take pride in being a partner with the city. And we truly want to do what's best for the city, but we also want to do what we need to do in order to make the development successful as well. The impact fees that are proposed are probably going to be necessary in the future. I have no doubt about that. I do think that there could have been a ramped approach a little bit further out to allow us to at least plan ahead as each phase of a development comes upon us, as Brad Cannoli had just said, in order for us to decide whether or not we even want to move forward with those projects or those phases, based on whether they financially work or not. I mean, we've already gone through a lot of stress as it relates to interest rates, inflation with subcontractor and other markets as far as that's concerned, and all those things. And so I really do believe the right thing to do tonight would be to defer a decision tonight and allow us to have opportunity to discuss this in an open forum like we did with the impact fee that were raised related to sewer and water. I do believe we can come to a solution that makes sense, but I do think that it needs to be a broadened phase other than implementing fees beginning in January of next year and then ramping them up again in January of the following year. Thank you for your time.
Did I miss anybody that wanted to speak on this issue? If not, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed, and I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to defer this definitely until staff and we can work on this with the stakeholders. I really don't want to put a date on it at this point. I think staff needs to bring that back with the date. So my motion is to defer this indefinitely at this point.
Second.
Appropriate motion second. I need to ask Ms. Billingsley about the appropriateness of that motion.
Right, if you defer it without a date certain, it kills it. It's over tonight, and that's it. So you can at least defer it for 2 months, 3 months.
Pick a date, and then you
All
can
right.
defer it further if you need to.
I will do that. To give us time to work on this, to have stakeholder meetings, and I will do that. I will defer it, my motion, if I can get a second to it, is defer it to January 14th, 2025. That gives us plenty of time to meet with them, research, find alternatives, and so that would- January 14th, 2025, that would be our first meeting in January.
I'll give you the second again.
Thank you.
Appropriate motion and second. Discussion. Go ahead, Alderman Berger.
Reason I feel that we desperately need to give this some time, there's too many people here that were unaware of this fully. There were some meetings that took place. I totally understand that there were meetings that took place and that people did attend, but I don't think they were continuously in the loop on that. And I do recall that we were supposed to have a quote town hall kind of thing however we want to phrase that, to have the stakeholders in this room. And I would like to have had BOMA in that room as well, the stakeholders. We're in this together. This is our community. We know the cost of construction warrants a reasonable increase in road impact fees. Nobody here is arguing that. I didn't hear that from any of you, and I don't hear that from my colleagues on the board. But I have some comments I'd just like to go through real quick. Most design professionals and developers feel that there are more conversations, obviously, I've heard tonight, that need to take place. And the key stakeholders need to be involved in that prior to moving forward with our vote tonight. We need to assess the best practices, and I don't think we have really done that. I know I have not. I can't speak for the rest of you, but I have not assessed the best practices. I've not seen any of them brought to us. How to implement this fee so the city may be properly funded. We have to be properly funded. I'm not arguing with that at all. But the developer needs to be considered in order to promote the success of a development. That's what we call a win-win situation. If a development fails, and look at where we are now in this culture, in this economic minefield that we're in, that development can easily fail. And I've heard it said many times, oh, developments, we're untouchable, basically. We are Franklin, we are strong, we have development, we're an expensive place to live. Don't be so sure. It's coming. We're feeling it now. So if development fails, then guess what? So does the city and so does the developer. That's called a lose-lose situation in my book. So the developer and the stakeholder and the companies, actually, that are here before us tonight, play a major role in the constructing of most of the improvements in Franklin over the past decades. By the way, thank you. You deserve our consideration of being heard further. You've just asked for that tonight, and you deserve that. And together, in the spirit of collaboration, I think prior to this vote tonight, prior to making a decision, we need to provide that opportunity. Communities and developments, the communities you've built and other people have built, and the developments that you have brought to fruition in the city has made us a better city. You've significantly increased our tax base. You've provided strong job markets for us and economic strength here as well. To make sure that we're not unintentionally strangling good development that makes us a better community, let us and let them fully understand more clearly, I would say, this impact fee and what it would have and how it will affect our city and our community. You've earned that consideration. You've earned that consideration from the city of Franklin, in my book. In my understanding, there is just a lot that needs to be said yet and a lot that needs to be worked out. And I have a lot more things I could say here tonight, but I'll save it for when we have our meeting together. And I think that we all want to do what's best for the city. Impact fees need to go up, but there are other mechanisms in the United States of America that people use every single day. And we need to find out what those mechanisms are that we might incorporate in our city and our state. And sometimes it might require us to go to the state and enact legislation to do that. I'm not afraid to do that. I'll hold the flag and lead that banner right away. Because sometimes we need to think outside the box and create opportunities that may not be accessible to us as a state. And those times we need to change that so we have tools in our toolbox. With that, I'll I'll be quiet and let anyone else speak at once. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Alderman Blanton.
I know January change is pretty radical, but this is a big deal. And the people that I've heard from just in the last couple of days being caught off guard by this is a big deal. The pro formas that have been done that already encapsulate the existing road impact fees and water sewer, which we did extend that and we paused and we all worked together to work through a solution that was palatable. This is millions and millions and millions of dollars. And what happens is it's either a request for bigger density or it gets passed on to the person who lives in said dwelling or inhabits said commercial, what have you. And then we're continuing to become inaccessible to the people that we want to try to go back and grab and give opportunities to. I don't have a magic wand and I don't know what the solution is, but I think that I've said it many times and it's somewhat political suicide, but as we continue to raise impact fees and not raise property taxes, it's not just. I live in a house that I've lived in since 2020 and it's quadrupled in value and I still pay the same taxes based on its that thing.
Equalization.
Yeah, that. So, I mean, I think there's some areas that I'm not saying we need to go crazy, but it's not proportionate. And no, it's not about developers need to win. It's about we all need to win. And you have to consider everybody that this trickle down affects. It was very embarrassing to know that the design development professionals did not know this was coming up on the agenda. That alone allows me to want to defer this. But when you hear real black and white cost increases, and I don't do those kind of numbers, I raise that kind of money, I don't spend that kind of money, it will stop you in your tracks. So I would suspect that some of my colleagues will be like, okay, I would have given you a deferral, but this is a little bit crazy. I just hope that we can all come together and try to find something that is palatable to all parties involved. And there's more than just us and them. So.
Anybody else?
I would just say, Mr. Mayor, that reason I also, since you asked for a date, we need ample time because the summer, people come and go during the summer. Then we head into holidays. So I think that would be, it's going to be tricky, but I think it might work to defer it to January. I would like to see it deferred longer because of holidays. We know we all get stuck in those and summer vacations and a lot going on in our town, but I'm fairly comfortable with January.
Mayor, I did have something.
Please, go ahead, Alderman Pagan.
This has been going on for almost a year. We've known about these for some time. The water and sewer, I've said this in every impact fee meeting we've had. It's not just the water and sewer, and it's the roads, it's the parks, parkland impact fees next. We've got to, part of the communication, again, with the development community is setting these expectations. If we've known we're going to do this for a couple of years, or a year and a half, like we should, and some might say that the Development Services Advisory Committee has been that outlet. Well, the development community is saying that's not been a very effective outlet. I don't know, I don't serve on that, Alderman Brown does. So there's been a breakdown of communication, and there's probably blame to go around. I mean, if I had a $50 million, this has been on my agenda if I had $50 million at risk, I would think I would be tracking it too. So, I mean, I think we can all take a breath and say, all right, maybe we missed the mark on this particular timeline, so I would agree with the deferral. I don't know, January sounds like a long way because what happens is you lose momentum and then there's energy now, and then, Chris, you're right, holidays and summer and everything happens, and all of a sudden, like, we're kind of floundering around for the next 6 or 8 months. So I would be open to something shorter, but if that's what the board wants to do, that's fine. I've looked at these road impact fees. We've got to think about this. And the development community has to think about this. the community has a cost of roads that has to be paid for to be an effective road network. There's just multiple ways to get those funds. It's either through impact fees or property taxes or sales tax, general fund, There's different ways, TIFs, some of these other things we've been exploring. I do think there's more opportunities, but it's really, I think everyone agrees that we've got to have this road network in place. Quite frankly, the community, I don't think wants to pay more property taxes in order for all the developments we've heard here today to have a 50 or 30 million, let's just add it all up, $50 million less of a cost in their new development. The community, our constituents would say, no, make them pay their way.
Not saying no.
Instead of each of them paying their way. But we got to balance that with, that's not fair either. That's not the right way to do it. You can't put all of the burden on the developer. And so I agree. I think there's this thing that we're experiencing here where there's somewhere in between what we've seen now that we've heard these numbers. Somewhere in between. We know we got to get to this number, right? Because the math, I looked at the Benesh report again today, and development community, it's going to be hard to argue with the methodology that's out there because it backs into, but so we've got to figure out a way to get come closer together. And I think we can, if it takes 9 months, however long that is. I think that's probably excessive, but if that's what people want to do, that's fine. But the problem is not, we can't just punt this down the road. And if we cannot just punt this down the road and not accept the fact that there's 8 of us up here that have to build a road network. It's got to get paid for one way or another. So, yes, thank you for developing our community. You are vital to every aspect of it. But we got to build a road network. And so we just have to come together. And I think 6, 8 months, 9 months, I'd rather have the end of September. But if January is it, January is it, if that's what the board thinks. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I might have been with you for a couple months deferral. January is a stretch too far. January is going to turn into basically a summertime approval next year. It's just the way this is going to go. That's a whole year from now. And if you think they're high now, they're going to be high later. Because to your point, the methodology is good. The cost is going to be the cost. In fact, it's going to be even more expensive a year from now. And so, given case lawsuits, whatever, I'd love to know what that means. So I would certainly love a month myself to understand and give you time to look into that. I think if this is important enough to the development community, then let's get together. Why are we waiting? Let's just, if this is urgent, if this is important, we all want to get together, let's all get in a room, let's figure it out. I will tell you, I'm on the development services. We've been talking about this for a while. I've talked to the representatives of the trade associations about this for a while. I've got emails going back to December and November. So I don't know that I'm responsible for making sure everybody knows about what's going on. Maybe the agenda item was the surprise, but road impact fees have not been a surprise. We got 3 sources of funding. The state, well, they've already made their decision. They're not giving us anything. Taxpayers, I don't know that any of us are looking to go make a change on new development being billed to taxpayers. And so then it becomes development. Any shortfall in development is going to fall on taxpayers. And so we've got to do something. I was one of the people asking for other solutions. I've said it till I was blue in the face. Give us other options. Give us other options. I never could get other options put in front of me. Here's where we are. And so at this point, and by the way, that's from everybody, not just city staff. That's broadly never a solution in front. So I'm all good for a couple months deferral. I'm all good for getting together and trying to get in a room, smart people, and figure this out, make it more equitable. I'm not trying to hurt development. But at some point, we got to make some decisions, or otherwise we are just kicking this down the road, and that's not done well for us so far.
One more thing is that one gentleman mentioned that in other municipalities, it follows the entitlement period, which I think actually takes care of a lot of heartburn.
That would be wonderful.
I agree.
But because that's not fair to entitle, patently unfair. So I think with this scale, we need to, that would be the first thing I would explore, is following the entitlement period or scale, I know we talked about this with water and sewer, and it's hard to, but I think that would warrant, because these are massive changes. if there's any way, any more, do some more looking into that, because if it followed the entitlement period, you know, I just think we would have a lot different conversation, and you all would build your performance for the future off of
right.
something else, of the new fees, and make it work or not. That's, but those are the kinds of things I think we really have to flush out.
Take Alderman Barnhill and then Alderman Peterson.
You know, I'm sitting here listening, and I'm a little bit leery of a January drop dead date for this particular project, because first off, just like Eric said, you know, even if we don't get it necessarily where we want it at the end of September, we've always got the deferral process to go the next couple of months or whatever it is. But I think if you drag it out too long, I don't think you get anything more accomplished by going 9 months or 8 months than you would if you had a 3-month deferral or a 4-month, whatever it is, and go and be diligent about doing what you need to do. I do like the entitlement, looking at it from that particular standpoint, because I would think that most everyone that got up here and spoke was speaking based upon what it was going to cost them during that period, that entitlement period. So, I mean, if we look at that, that's fine with me. I would prefer not to have a January date. Now, how do I handle that personally? The mayor probably will call me to vote first, since my name is up there first just about. So he usually calls on me. I will vote against that, or unless somebody wishes to make a motion to amend the original motion. So,
Alderman Peterson.
Perhaps that is a good idea to amend the original motion, although I think that we do need to have work together.
Yeah, exactly.
Alderman Caesar.
I think there's been a lot said here, and I've spoken with a number of you prior to tonight's meeting. I think that there is a lack of clarity and communication. It seems evident. However, I've been on this board almost 6 months, and I feel like I've been spoken to or about this impact fee more than any other topic that's come before us. So for me, this has been a top subject for me. So I'm probably a little bit skewed relative to my colleagues. But I think it's about communication, I think it's about fairness, and I think it's about the fact that this impact fee was first or most recently adjusted in what year?
2017, 16?
Well, we've most recently adjusted, yes, it's about 2017, 18, we added the arterial road fee.
And then prior to
to
that was
collector.
14, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so
about that time. I'm sorry, I
my
wasn't
concern-
prepared to answer that.
It's okay, I appreciate it. My concern is not in the deferral, but it's in the lack of clarity or ambiguity that we're providing our development partners. We need to give them something firm so they can build appropriate prospectus, so they can make decisions on facts, not smoke. And unfortunately, it feels like we've given them smoke for the 6 months that I've been on the board, and it feels like we're about to give them 6 more months of smoke. And so they won't be able to go back to the drawing board and perfect their projects between now and January, because we still won't give them concrete information. And so what I would ask is, this, in my mind, is perhaps the most important thing that's sitting across the table for most of the development community that's in this room, as far as impact on their bottom line for the next year and years in the future. I would think that they would be looking to accelerate the conversation here so that they can get that concrete information, so they can build their business cases and can move forward. Because last time I checked, we're not stopping building roads. The people that put us in these chairs have not stopped asking for more traffic solutions. They've not stopped asking for improvements to the infrastructure that oftentimes is because of new builds and new developments. So I think this is an urgent matter that I'm not comfortable deferring 6 months. As a matter of fact, I'd be comfortable having a conversation about this and making a decision on this in the next month if we get clarity for these folks so they can do their jobs and continue to build the great community that is Franklin.
Mr. Mayor, before other people make maybe amendment coming up, which I would hope people would, may I ask a question? I'm very uncomfortable with that month. That doesn't do it for me at all. Because it's impossible to have the meetings and have the people. I wanted to ask the question, a comment was made, I think Vernon, you made it, if you could speak to this. There was consultants, consulted with consultants, okay? Who were those consultants? And were the stakeholders in those meetings with the consultants? And where did those consultants come from and who were they?
I can answer that
yes,
if
thank
you'd
you.
like, because
Sure.
I do want to make some comments.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
if you'll remember, we had a presentation from Bass Berry on alternative financing methods. We also had PFM, who is our financial advisor, that was here. I don't remember exactly how long that conversation went on, but it was very, very extensive. Basically, the problem is that our state doesn't allow many of those things that other states are doing. Our General Assembly has, up to this point, has not had the mood to want to change those things. You know, I've actually a little bit floored because I'd actually had a number of developers tell me, thank you for having those meetings with staff concerning this issue. And it was my understanding that this was moving forward appropriately at this time. Shame on us for not having addressed the road impact fees much sooner, and that's why there is such a significant increase. I do personally appreciate the participation of our development partners and the contributions they make in many other ways to our community. I think deferring until January is a bad idea. I think that does not put any urgency on getting this problem resolved. I'd like to personally be involved in any meetings that now occur with the development community. I plan on being there. I want to hear it. I want to make sure that you're informed. You know, I'm informed. I knew the meeting was coming along. I knew about the impact fees, and that's not my main focus every single day. So I thought we had reached a pretty good conclusion to continue to move it forward. So I think deferring until January is a really bad idea. I'd rather see a sooner date, which puts some urgency on it for everybody to get together and work on it and try to figure out how we're going to move forward quickly. You know, we have made the decision as a board that development pays its way. And if you don't like that, change the rules. And I don't think that we're going to like the result if we change those rules. So,
Motion to amend,
No,
motion to amend the motion to have this deferred until September the 10th meeting.
What about October?
I'm sorry.
What about October?
Well,
he's making the motion.
I know, okay.
I
You
put
can
the
either
10th
second
and
it
I'll
or
be
not
willing.
second it or make another amendment. Go ahead.
I will second that amendment.
September the 10th.
Alderman Peterson, if you would like to.
Open for discussion.
Well, I was just thinking that in October, we would have kind of finished summer for a lot of people who have other plans, you know, but that it might, I don't want it to go into, you know, November and December because that's holiday again and everything.
This is this gives it 3 months, and if holidays get in the way of millions, you know, sorry. I mean, listen, with all due respect, I mean, if we can't get this nailed out in 3 months, then I think, I mean, I understand, I mean, but vacations, I mean, we, you know, come on. We the September the 10th is the motion.
Did you get a second on that?
You have a second by the vice mayor.
It'd be okay. As I said, I just think a little bit later would be better because there'll be a lot of things.
And we can always defer again.
Okay, good point.
Right.
Good point.
The good news I see, and I'll be supportive of this motion, is that we have a running start at this. And we have the ears, I think, and the attention of our development partners. And my hope is that we give you guys clarity, right? So that you can build functional prospectus that reflect really what your costs are going to be. And I was not super supportive of the plan as proposed this evening because I felt like it put too much on you too quickly. I think it's only fair for us to give you enough horizon so that you don't get completely surprised by projects and lose them. Given the complexities that are going on in the development community right now, you guys are an important part of our city. You help build our city, and we should appreciate that. We should provide you the audience and work together with this very, very quickly so that you can have clarity in the future.
Yeah, one last comment. I would like to ask staff to include in those conversations the parkland, any kind of, get feedback on that while we're knock out that too. I mean, if there is anything developed by then.
You also aren't fully done with water and sewer. You have not addressed the south plant.
Correct.
In terms of how that fits in to a potential impact fee and the cost of service study. So you've got a lot, there's a lot on the bone, if you will, on this area. So we can give that context. I think I would suggest you focus on the topic at hand, where we've got the full study, we've got all those elements that has been discussed for a while, but we're glad to continue to engage, and we welcome the ideas. We've asked for ideas for a couple years dating back to the water and sewer discussion. So we're glad to hear those as well. We gave you parameters and the pretty detailed discussion from our financial advisor and bond counsel about what are the parameters today and how have they been used other places in Tennessee. But we're glad to continue that dialogue. We're working on some policy framework that you can give us guidance on how we might apply the existing tools to development. So that's forthcoming as well. That can all contribute to this dialogue. So it can help on multiple fronts, but we're glad to provide some context on other elements. But I would suggest to stay focused on this element because it's got a good amount of background ready to go. And other pieces we can fold in as well. But I think to have that as your primary focus would probably be most productive.
Mr. Mayor, may I make another comment? Please go ahead if you want to say something.
I needed some clarification from Ms. Billingsley as far as if the amendment to the original motion passes, then we would still have to vote on the original motion, which was to defer.
That's right. You still are going to have to take two votes. And this is only supposed to be a discussion on
Defer.
the deferral to the September 10th.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Well, I was just going to say, the economy has had a lot of different things going on in the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of it. So we need to be thinking ahead, but also being realistic too.
So you're ready to vote on the amendment to the original motion to defer to September the 10th? Alderman Barnhill, you are first.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go back to the original motion as amended. You ready to vote?
Mr.
Which
Mayor,
basically
Defer
is
to-
just reconfirming that it's September the 10th and not January.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I have one comment, question. Since we're going to defer this to September, I want to be very clear that these meetings coming up will involve, and Mr. Mayor, I'm glad that you're going to be there to every meeting on this, but I also want have BOMA extremely involved in this.
Absolutely.
And the consultants that we had, I understand what you were saying there, but we never got anything concrete out of those consultants to say which way to go or not way to go, and any alternatives, actually alternative programs. Because I was looking for alternative programs, and I also think that just because the state did not see fit to give us any of those programs does not mean that we don't go and knock on the door of the state with our state elected officials and start working hard to get some of those programs in our toolbox, because we need that. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you very much.
Okay, ready to vote on the original motion as amended? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 5. This is a public hearing, consideration of Resolution 2024-06, a resolution to annex 2 properties consisting of 35.95 acres located west of Franklin Road, south of Barry's Chapel Road, 2247 South Barry's Chapel Road, adjoining the city limits within the northern part of the Franklin urban growth boundary. Joey.
Thank you. The property being considered for annexation and measures 35.95 acres in size. It is contiguous to the city limits and is within the city's urban growth boundary. The property was identified as a long-term annexation capability area due to the limited developable area remaining in the area, the overall topography, and the large lot development pattern that is expected to remain. The property being considered is within the large lot residential design concept as defined by Envision Franklin, which states that development in the large lot residential design concept reflect the established character of existing neighborhoods and often provides a transition between city and county subdivisions. The plan of services, as well as the annexation, as a general note, are only requiring 2 parcels. The overall plan that are associated with this series of 4 items has 3 parcels, but only 2 are within the county. The 3rd parcel is already in the city. So staff recommends approval of Resolution 2024-06, as does Planning Commission. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I have a number of speakers, and many of the speakers have indicated that they want to speak on items 5, 6, 7, and 8. I can come back to you on each and every one of those single ones, but I think I would prefer, if you don't mind, to let you speak to all those items that you want to speak to when you speak at this time, and I think that'll add a little more consistency and to it. So we're going to start in this order. Rodney Rose, Andrea Lux, Marilyn Webb, Joan Bledsoe, and we'll start there. Go ahead and please line up behind the podium. Hey, Sarah.
Good evening. This is the first time that, speaking here tonight, that I feel like we have the lighter agenda. That last one was pretty tough. I feel for you guys.
Yeah.
I was informed that we might have an amendment coming to this. So I don't know if I need, to go into it and repeat stuff that we've already repeated. But I have met with, and other people have met with the developer who's here tonight, the owner of the property, and I think we've come to some kind of an agreement with issues that concern the community right there, and not have to debate whether some interpretations are correct or not. We're happy to come to a win-win, I feel, position here with increasing lot sizes, with deed restrictions that equate to everybody's ultimate goal, removing city sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and streetlights on South Barry's Chapel, which agrees with Envision Franklin documentation, the setback, so on South Barry's Chapel, so that it retains that same visual viewscape. And I think that was it. I thought there was 4. I don't remember right off the top of my head, or 5, but I feel comfortable that we'll get some communication here with Alderman Brown here in a second. I thank you for your guys' time. You guys are an amazing group.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Lux. I live on Linwood Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm part of Rodney's group, and I was the one that brought you a copy of the current Envision Franklin plan, just a little snippet page there. I want to impress upon you that our group has, made a good faith effort. We've worked constructively with the developer. I just want to impress upon you that this area of South Barry's Chapel is a very special area and worthy of your a little extra consideration. It's very scenic. So I'm going to refer to the context responsive infill document that I left there. Just want you to just take a look at that, and as you're thinking about this project, that you might want to use that in its context. Regarding the rhythm of the development along the street, as Rodney said, we'd like to see some larger lot sizes. This is a very rural area. A lot of the properties are very large. 2 acres, I think, is I would have loved to seen 5, but I'll go with 2. The setbacks, we need some real setbacks off of South Berry's Chapel there. Curbs, gutters, and sidewalks is just not part of this community. You won't find them anywhere on this road. And special note, I don't know if you know this, but last week the Planning Commission adopted special considerations for this area of South Berry's Chapel. I understand that this project will not be subject to that, but it is subject to the original Envision Franklin document. Please work together to blend this development with its natural beauty of the area. Your decision and input on this project will affect development in the urban growth boundary, and we want to just make sure that you understand that. Franklin's natural features are irreplaceable assets of great value, and they should be protected with planning and conservation tools. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Marilyn Webb. And then Joan Bledsoe. You're Joan Bledsoe, or are you?
I'm Joan Bledsoe. You probably
Okay, I'm
familiar
sorry.
seeing me. I really didn't plan to speak tonight, but I am very grateful that y'all have listened to us. I do think we need 5-acre lots there. There's just no reason to go with 2. And also, the traffic is terrible already. I took an hour and a half coming from Brentwood to Franklin the other afternoon. This was on tax day, and my accountant lives in, he's moved his offices from Franklin to Berry Hill. And so when I got to Brentwood, I thought I'd get home pretty quick, but I didn't. I would like to turn my time over to Cal Versill, if I can. He's my neighbor, and he's a geoengineer, and I think he has some interesting things to tell you. Thank you.
He's next on the horizon, but I generally don't allow extra time from one person to another one. So Mr. Vinsel may come up, and he'll have the 2 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and call the rest of the group that would come up would be Connie Frazier, Dr. Brian Berger, Marcus Ako, Tom Weiss, Josh Lee, and David Blackburn. Well, that's the applicant, so. And Josh Lee is the applicant, so please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My name's Cal Vinsel. I live on South Berry's Chapel, 2267. I appreciate the opportunity. Sorry I had to miss the last meeting, but I understand there's been a lot of productive conversations, and I just want to make it clear that the residents on South Berry's aren't against development. We love the road. Honestly, we love Envision Franklin because it recognizes what it means to the community and the people there. So, and we want to share that. So, we're not anti-development. So, but just from an environmental perspective, when I saw the density of the development, they've done their due diligence on the TDEC. You know, they have some letters. But when I saw there's 2, that area has 2 ponds on it. It's a lowland area. There's wetlands, which they've documented. But this area is, geologically speaking, is known to sinkholes. Just Google Williamson County geologic hazards. Sinkholes are in this area. My concern is when you start densely developing that area of 1 acre, 2 acre lots, a lot of pavement, stormwater, you start developing sinkholes. So I don't know if that's been investigated. I know there's neighboring Echo Estates. This is a potential concern for all the neighbors in the area. Also, there might be some jurisdictional waters down there. I'm not sure if that's been looked into as well. And just from the traffic standpoint, I know everybody anecdotally gets up here and says, hey, traffic's an issue. We all know that. We're talking about that now for the previous discussions. I live right near the intersection of Franklin Road and South Berry's. Their own study says they need turn lane, left and right, or light. We don't have either right now. Traffic is regularly backed up 300-400 feet to my driveway. I'm just asking for y'all to help. I know it's TDOT is a stakeholder in Franklin Road, but before we go putting in developments on South Berry's, which is a 2-lane rural road, can we just be responsible and figure that problem out first before we move forward with developments like this? Because there's gonna be more developments. And I would appreciate that consideration. I think you guys are doing a great job with Envision Franklin, and let's keep Berry's Chapel great. So, thank you.
Connie Frazier, 2268 South Berry's Chapel. Next year, I will have been there 40 years. And I'm going to address traffic very shortly. And these are things that I have heard that have been proposed that, in my opinion, are crazy. Okay, first of all is the stop sign going into this development. You only need one stop sign there, and that's for the people who are coming out of the development. There is not enough traffic on South Berry's Chapel for there to be a stop sign on South Berry's Chapel at that development. They just don't need it. The other thing is Franklin Road. I don't know if you have any jurisdiction over that, but I'm going to tell you right now, what we need is a third lane on Franklin Road. A lane on South Berry's Chapel to turn right or left is okay, but I'm going to tell you, I'm sure y'all are not aware that people are moving here are not courteous drivers. Now, they use their blinker, but they're not courteous. If they don't let you out, you don't pull out on that road. So we need a turn lane that will free up one lane of traffic that we only have to cross if we're going left on Franklin Road, and I'm sure that will help turning south too. Yes, thank you.
Dr. Brian Berger, I've been here for 32 years, 3018 Smith Lane in Linwood Downs. I'd like to thank the Planning Commission, aldermen, the county commissioners, and all of you for Envision Franklin and working together on this. I think that we've reached a reasonable compromise. We would like to have seen 5 acres again for the traffic, for the water, everything for that area. But I think that the Envision Franklin plan is workable. I would like to see the right-of-way dropped for this property so it does not impinge further on the road. And again, sidewalks going to nowhere, curbs there, just don't fit into that road. So I'd like to thank you very much for working on this.
My name is Marcus Occo, and I live in the Linwood Downs community. I'm here to speak in opposition to the planned development as currently proposed. I wanted to thank the aldermen and the city planning department for their work, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to express our views here today. Many of us have seen property developments such as this one happen elsewhere in the country. Landscapes around the U.S. have been converted from pastoral lands to urban sprawl, with packed houses and congested streets. With more cars and people, everyone's costs go up and everyone's quality of living goes down. The proposed plan destroys much of the rural beauty along the South Berry Chapel. More housing will drive away the turkeys, the deer, all the things that we found so valuable and so charming in that area. Consequently, it harms the property values of all the neighbors to some degree, and that's also important to take into account. We do support the landowner's right to build on his property. He has that right. But we ask that we try to maintain that rural charm that we have there. 5 acres would be great, but we support Mr. Rose's efforts, and we are part of the same group. So to the extent that we can at least find a compromise, we would be very grateful for that. So thank you again for the time here today, and please help us ensure that Franklin stays so special as it is today.
My name is Tom Weiss. I live on 2189 South Berry's Chapel Road. And as the speakers before us have said, I and our group is not against development in that area. We would like to maintain our rural character. And we had a discussion with the Planning Commission last Thursday and had some amendments made to the Envision Franklin plan. And would like to have those looked at as you're applying decision-making to this development. Because we've also had very good discussions with the developer. Both of our attorneys have discussed. I'm not aware of any final decisions being made, but would like you to consider this. So the special consideration that was added to Envision Franklin stated the scenic corridor fronting South Berry's Chapel Road should have setbacks of at least 150 feet for new development in order to preserve its rural character. Informal landscape design and rural features such as stone walls, wood plank fencing, and informal tree planting should be utilized to sustain the scenic and rural quality of the area. New development within South Berry's Chapel corridor should consist of single-family residential uses with a minimum lot size of 2 acres. Now, we know this does not apply to this development, but we like to have some of these elements considered as you're looking at the approval. We would like the condition of approval for the development to require the frontage to have informal landscape design and rural features, as was discussed in the amendment. A condition of approval being 150 feet of setback off the road. We continue to have concerns about project connectors to Echo Estates. We'd like to have that minimized to limit traffic on our road. And because of that, we'd like to see as a condition that the county have input into the connection of this development onto the road, because it is a county road. And from what we understand, the city has no plans to annex that road, because right now it's a county road. And we want to see the traffic patterns understood by them as they're going to be maintaining it. So again, thank you for all of your time and willing to listen to us. We want to thank Mr. Blackburn for his time and willingness to listen to us. And we're trying to come to an agreement to make our area and our neighborhood retain its character and develop in a rational fashion. Thank you very much.
We commend you for being on time. Go ahead.
Good evening. On behalf of the applicant, I think we have 5 minutes combined to speak.
I generally will give a little extra time to the applicant because there are fine points that you may need to explain.
Thank you so much. Josh Lee on behalf of Thompson Burton, on behalf of the applicant here. Just a few brief points, and then I'll turn it over to the owner as well to address some of these issues. First of all, like many of us here, we agree completely with Envision Franklin and support the city's analysis of that and ask for your approval on that basis. You all have done the exact right thing, including the Planning Commission, with addressing future development and the future nature of that area. We appreciate that very much as an owner that's coming in to be a neighbor. Additionally, just a few brief technical points. We've discussed at length at previous meetings some of our requests to remove a couple of connections that are currently part of the plan. Those connections are the one southeast to the Meadows, which would be a modification of standards. We do currently have 2 points of access in the plan immediately, along with one stub for future development. The other connection that we've asked to be removed as a condition of approval is the emergency bridge that's been discussed again at length, and we're happy to answer questions about that, but we wanted to reiterate that request. Just a couple other brief points. One, with regard to the design, there is an amenities lot that's designed as part of this. It was previously referred to as a sports complex, and that was just a misnomer. In fact, the client here is not a developer, as many of our partners are, and just meant to use that as a clubhouse, much like Linwood Downs down the road. So speaking of that, I'm going to turn it over to our developer to say a few, to our owner to say a few other words.
Thanks, everyone, for having me. I know you got a real difficult job to do, and it takes some getting used to be referred to as a developer. They keep saying the developer. So who is that? Who is that? Oh, that's me. That's me. I'm a homeowner. I'm not a developer by trade. And to try to humanize the process a little bit, I'm a guy from East Nashville, born and raised Nashvilleian. Grew up in an 800 square foot house on Sheridan Road, pardon me, near Stratford High School. When my older brothers moved out, one moved next door and one moved 3 doors down. So we spent our afternoons on the porch, and probably one of the best times of my life till I had my own children. My 2 children work in my company with me today. Very privileged to have that. I sold my company recently. I'm a restaurant person. If you know Bonanza, I was a busboy at Bonanza, and I worked in the restaurant business through every position without a college education until I finally went out on my own and developed my own company. And I sold most of that a couple of years ago and decided to set up a trust fund for my kids and use this purchase as really their inheritance. So this is in a trust. We've called it the Preserve at Sheridan. because of the Sheridan Road I grew up on as a kid, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then the top of that hill that we all know and love across from Legends is the preserve. So it's preserved, and so I thought that was a cool thing to do. Like I said, not really a developer. One of the things I keep hearing about a stop sign. I don't know anything about any stop signs on South Berry's Chapel. I imagine the road that intersects inside the community will have a stop sign because we'll be required to have a stop sign, but there is no stop sign anywhere else on the property. And street lights that I heard about, I think we had a walking path at some point that was being required or considered, and that may or may not have had street lights. That was all kind of news to me. So whatever's required by the city is certainly what we'll do. And the aldermen here have been working hard to resolve and work through all those things. Another thing that come up, family compounds, that word got coined really quickly because I kept saying I was building this for my family. I have no plans to sell these lots. Anything could happen. My kids, my daughter, in fact, is in charge of the trust. We've created 2 phases, the phase we plan to develop now, and there's 7 lots, I believe, that we'll do something with at a later date. Again, no plan. We didn't set out to have 16 units, but this is an inheritance. I wanted to optimize the value. We started off with 24 lots on this lot, just like someone before me had proposed when we picked it up to purchase that. We have since carved it down to 16 lots, which is 3.3 acres per lot with all of the common areas and setbacks and wetlands and things of that nature. Sorry, I made some notes to make sure I don't miss anything here. So in the very beginning, as you notice, part of this was already annexed by the city. And I bought a lot in Echo that borders this. And the original ask 2 years ago was, well, I didn't want that part of the property, didn't need it. I only wanted the other part that's not currently annexed. The seller did not want to sell that. It was all or nothing. And so when I came to the city, the very first meeting 2 years ago in April was, well, maybe we'll just put a road in and develop this part and sell it. Then it'll help diminish all this expense for the remainder. And that was an absolute no. There's no way you're going to get a road from Echo. That's never going to happen. You got to take that out of your thought process. Well, then to buy the property, I was landlocked. I had to do something to try to access the entire property from South Berry. So what started off of being 7 or 8 lots turned into 16 because that's what we wound up with. Wasn't my choice, but that was the circumstance that kind of we were dealt with to do that. But since that time, we've spent lots of time with the aldermen, speaking with several of you to figure out what should we do. And again, before all of that, 19 months with city planners, with multiple conversations and meetings, and then many meetings with the neighbors as well, all working in good faith to get to something that we can get to. I think we're there, but I guess I'll know in a few minutes. But are there any questions with the group before? Anything for me that I haven't addressed that has been bothering anyone?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Did I miss anybody that wanted to comment? I'm going to declare the public hearing closed on Resolution 2024-06 and would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Appropriate motion, second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll bring on, when we hit item 8, the development plan, I'll bring a motion with the rest of
Right.
really what we
This is
talked
just
about
for the
here.
annexation.
It's just the annexation, so we're going to get through this, and then in that, I'll bring forth the,
I appreciate your.
where we
wanting to
think we
get
are.
through that. Okay, sound like we're ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett. Was that a yes vote, Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 6. This is a public hearing consideration resolution 2024-05, a resolution adopting a plan of services for the annexation of property located west of Franklin Road, south of Barry's Chapel Road, at 2247 South Barry's Chapel Road by the city of Franklin, Tennessee. Joey.
Thank you. The plan of services outlines how infrastructure will need to be provided to serve the property of 35.95 acres that is requesting to be annexed into the city. The draft plan of services that you have as part of your materials details no major concerns in providing infrastructure and services to the property. However, as a general note, connectivity to the parcels to the southeast of the annexation request is important to the future development of property in the city of Franklin's urban growth boundary. No additional personnel or equipment will be needed for fire, police protection, or sanitation. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 2024-05, as does Planning Commission. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone want to speak to this body on this Resolution 2024-06? If not, I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? I think I'll start at the other end and relieve you just a little bit, Alderman Barnhill.
Raised up for a long time. didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item 7. This is a public hearing consideration ordinance 2024-09 to zone 5.95 acres Plan PD District .30 District and Hillside Hillcrest Overlay District, and to rezone 16.66 acres from residential R1 District to Plan PD .30 District for the property located west Franklin Road, South Parish Chapel Road, 2247 South Parish Chapel Road, preserved at Sheridan PUD.
We know you like those long titles.
I really love them.
The subject property, including land currently within and outside of the city limits, consists of 52.61 acres and is currently zoned MGA1 for the county and R1 within the city. Envision Franklin places the parcel into the large lot residential design concept, which state that these areas reflect the established character of existing neighborhoods and often provide a transition between city and county subdivisions. New development should have a minimum lot size of 1 acre or more to fit in contextually with surrounding neighborhoods. Neighborhoods should be designed around the natural features to highlight forested areas, hillsides, and hilltops, streams, and tree rows. The accompanying development plan proposes 16 single-family residential lots measuring from a minimum of 1 and up to 2 acres in size, giving an overall density of 0.30 units per acre. The zoning as proposed is consistent with recommendations of Envision Franklin. Staff recommends approval of ordinance 2024-09, as does Planning Commission. Happy to answer any questions.
And is there anyone else that wants to speak to this item during the public hearing? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 8. This is a public hearing, consideration resolution 2024-07, a resolution approving a development plan to preserve its Sheridan PUD subdivision with one modification of development standard connectivity for the property located west of Franklin Road, south of Barry's Chapel Road, located at 2247 South Barry's Chapel Road. I thought you'd gone to sleep on us, Joey.
Just my cue.
Just
The
trying to
applicant is-
catch up with us?
No, I'm good. We're good. The applicant has submitted a development plan for the Preserve at Sheridan PUD subdivision, which proposes 16 single-family lots, residential lots, on 52.61 acres. Envision Franklin places this parcel into the large lot residential design concept that I went over in the previous item. So the plan as submitted includes lots that range from 1 to 2 acres in size, maintaining the established character of existing subdivisions in the area. The plan also includes green space, protect natural and historical assets, as well as a neighborhood amenity center. There is one modification of standard request with the plan. Applicant is requesting to remove the required eastern connections of the plan unit development. The applicant is requesting to remove the required vehicular connections to the parcels along the eastern boundary of the PUD. There are 2 eastern access points required to connect to the 2 parcels along the eastern boundary. After reviewing the submittal, staff can support removal of the eastern connection to the northern parcel due to the location of the stream and the proximity to South Barry's Chapel Road. For the eastern connection to the southern parcel, staff will support a modification of standard with the following conditions: that the right-of-way for a future road is dedicated, the future road is pre-graded to subgrade, and a sign is installed at the end of the cul-de-sac stating this roadway shall be extended per the authority of the city of Franklin. Staff recommends approval with conditions of MOS number 1, and staff recommends approval with conditions overall to the development plan and supports Resolution 2024-07 with conditions as this planning commission. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could we get another picture up here? This just shows the, the lots themselves. It doesn't show the development plan.
Yeah. And while he's doing that, was there anyone that wanted to address this body during the public hearing? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing as we pull this up.
How about page 2 or 3?
Oops.
I guess that one's okay. Thank you.
Dr. Berger, again, I hate to beat a dead horse. I couldn't understand whether the right-of-way, the sidewalks, and curbs had been removed from the amendment that he just did.
He's just giving a report. We'll see what the board motions.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that what you wanted, Alderman Peterson?
Yes, thank you. That's much better.
Could you point out that modification of standard to make sure that we're clear on which one that is?
So the modification of standard is for connections to the eastern boundary, and just to orient you, the north is on the right side.
Yeah.
So staff is supportive of removing the eastern connection up here in this general area, but we are requiring grading to be done for a future connection for this southern parcel down here near the cul-de-sac. Does that clarify things? Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying agreeing to where the cul-de-sac would be next to BGA, right?
Yeah, so there'd be two connections kind of from the cul-de-sac, one to the direct south to the BGA campus, and then one over here connecting to the Meadows property.
Now, see, we can't see that on here, right?
It is a condition of approval that they do connect to the southeastern portion as well, for the southern parcel.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. I'm going to entertain a motion, and I'm going to recognize the vice mayor.
Mayor, I'm going to move to approve the development plan with the following amendments. If you want, I'll give an overview of them first, Mayor, and then you can decide how you want to. Let me just read through these amendments. First one, let me read through the amendments.
Well, I'm going to stop you right
Okay.
there. We need a motion on the item.
Okay.
And then if you're going to amend it, you need to be amending it.
Okay. Then I'll move to
I
approve.
will, appropriate motion.
Second.
Seconded. We now will address the modification of standards. And,
Well, the amendments may have to do with the modification of standards.
and I would entertain a motion on the modification of standard as listed, connectivity.
Okay, so
Move to
where are
approve
they?
the modification of standard number 1.
Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
I agree, but again, let me go look at them.
With conditions, did you say?
It's the connectivity, modification of standard on the connectivity. And there's appropriate motion second.
With conditions?
With conditions.
Yes, with conditions,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear
And your
that.
motion too, I assume, was also with conditions?
Correct.
Okay. And so the modification of standards would be in just the resolution?
Yeah, it
Itself.
is on the first one.
It's on the
First
item
one.
report. Request to remove the required eastern connections of the PUD.
It's on page 2.
Help me out, Emily.
Okay, I think, clarify
Yes.
if I'm mistaken, but I think you were wanting to approve the overall development plan with conditions.
Correct.
But for the modification of the standards, you were wanting to approve with no staff conditions. So approval of the modification of standards would approve the applicant's request to remove both eastern connections.
Right.
The southern one and the northern one. So you would be
wait.
eliminating both connections by approving the MOS with no conditions.
approve the connections to where?
The applicant's request for the modification of standards was to remove 2 points of connection to the east.
Right.
So if you approve that, then you are removing both connections to the east as they've requested.
Those are the two down.
Both, yes, to the
Okay.
Meadows property and to the property near where the
Meadows.
stream is.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so then, for clarification, we would vote on the modification of standard as just explained by Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
And then we would go back to the original motion, and if you're wanting to amend the original motion, that's the time you'll get to amend it.
Okay.
So, okay, are you
So-
ready to vote on?
Have you said that we're ready to vote on the modification standards, or do we have to make a motion?
We're ready
approve
to,
it?
we already have a
He's made the
motion on
motion.
approval of the modification
Modification
standard
standards.
with a
Thank you.
second. We're ready to vote.
Okay.
Okay,
without-
clarification,
Without conditions.
Without-
Without-
Only on the
okay.
modification standard.
Without
Correct.
conditions.
all of them.
No, no.
It's only one
Just-
modification.
Only
Just
one
that one?
modification standard.
all of the-
And then we'll
yeah.
go back to the
Oh,
original
okay, got
motion.
it.
And at that time, I suspect, but don't know, that the vice mayor may have some extensive amendments.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
complicated.
It's a good guess.
So I have a
Who
question on
voted
this.
for you for vice mayor?
It's so complicated.
He brings some
Okay, you
baby.
ready to vote on the
No.
modification standard?
Potts did that since he's not
Right,
here.
right. Gary,
So you
I
ready?
I have a question on that,
Okay.
the modification. So it removes both of those access streets,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And it was that was at the request of the owner, developer?
Everybody.
Everybody? And also the other people around that area?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody.
Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
No. I can't do.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
It passes 6-1. We'll now go back to the original motion with the approved modification of standard. And I would ask that if there's any amendments to the original motion,
We're going to do these one at a time?
Yes.
one at a time.
First
Well,
amendment.
that's the best way?
Yeah, let's not
Okay,
confuse
one
us.
at a time.
All right, 3 amendments. Here we go. Amend the plan to require that lots 1 and 3 face Rolling Rock Drive, thus no homes in the development will front South Berry's Chapel Road.
Is there a second to this
Can I-
amendment?
A point of inquiry, like, are these, give us a little bit of is this what everyone agrees with? Is this just,
Everything that I'm doing here is fully agreed, in writing. So I'm doing my best.
thank you. No, thank
Doing
you.
my best.
So we have an amendment to the original motion that lots 1 and 3 will face Rolling Rock Drive. Is there a second?
Sure, second.
Second.
Appropriate. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, you ready to vote? I got to get another piece of paper to vote on here.
You know, they almost need to be pointed out up there some way, but we don't.
I'm sorry, Alderman Peterson.
Said, well, I know where they are, but I'm just saying, they need to be pointed out up there.
I'm good.
On one of the screens.
There's 2 corner lots
Exactly.
to the right of the screen there. There's 2 corner lots.
Right there, thank you,
go.
that's
Yep.
good, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And because within our ordinances,
did
if I have
that.
this right, they're corner lots, we actually have the ability to rotate those footprint and accomplish the goal of both the owner and the neighbors by turning those footprints inward towards the development and not facing out onto the street.
Right. Currently, they are able to face either South Berry's Chapel or the Rolling Rock Drive. But with this motion, you're saying that they may only face Rolling
Correct.
Rock Drive.
Okay, you ready to vote on the amendment? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Is there another amendment?
Yes,
How many more
Mayor.
amendments have you got?
2 and a statement.
Okay.
All right.
I'd like to hear another amendment.
I'm sure you would. Oh, here we go. Thank you, sir. Amend the development plan to remove any streetlights, multi-use paths, and sidewalks along South Berry's Chapel Road.
Appropriate motion, is there a second?
Second.
Would you restate that one more time before I recognize Alderman Berger?
Amend the development plan to remove any streetlights, multi-use paths, and along South Berry's Chapel Road.
Gotcha.
Multi-use paths and what?
And sidewalks, I think they're the same thing.
All right.
Appropriate motion has been seconded. Do you want to address it
Yeah,
specifically before I recognize, since you made the motion, and I'll recognize Alderman Berger after that?
Yes, sir. So this is a 44-foot section of South Berry's Chapel Road. The reality is of this stretch of road, or whatever this piece is, it sits within this county stretch of road. While we have, while still existing in the thoroughfare plan is the idea of aligning Mallory Station Road with this, I think the reality of that ever happening, and by the way, Clovercroft, I'll just mention that, I don't know that we'll ever get to a point where we have city-owned, annexation of this road. And so this not only, I'll just speak for the groups in terms of what I understood, from a owner perspective, his residents aren't going to walk 40 foot in front of the property. And then from the neighbor's perspective, in putting in that infrastructure, those lights and those sidewalks, which will go to nowhere probably for the foreseeable future, it feels like it's changing that character of that area, and not for any good reason. And so, and even in talking to staff, this felt like something that everybody could get behind.
Alderman Berger.
So, question, is there any street lights going to be in this development at all? Internally?
This is only about what's
Yeah.
on South Berry's Chapel. So,
There will be?
Within the development, yes,
the
but not
develop-
on South Berry.
Okay, got it, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. And I understand there's another amendment.
Yes, Mayor. Final amendment is to amend the development plan to remove the condition of approval number 31 that requires an emergency access connection to Echo Lane. This is the one that had the bridge, needed the bridge and the infrastructure into, across the owner's lot that is not part of this development. And this was quite a bit of outpouring, quite frankly, from Echo Estates, which I didn't even hear some of those addresses in here, but I will tell you, pretty palpable.
We'll make it a clean sweep. I'll give you a second for the third time.
Okay.
Appropriate motion, second. Any discussion? Everybody clear on what the amendment is to remove the connection to Echo Lane?
Can
Have you
show me
ever
where
had the
that
little
is?
red
Can you show me where that is on the
thing?
map?
Show that?
Joey? Yep,
That, thank you.
right there.
Oh, no, it's not there.
so-
No, it's just up.
Down by the cul-de-sac.
Right,
Yeah.
whoops,
I
right in
can't-
there.
What are
right
we
in
talking
there.
about?
Whoever's got the red thing.
Yeah, sorry.
So I can't see.
There you
it. I don't
go.
know where
There
you're
you
talking
go.
about.
There it is.
Where is
Okay.
it?
Top left.
Okay.
Oh.
Any
So is there?
clear?
Yeah, I have a
Any
question.
discussion?
So who proposed the emergency access? Was it our fire department or, yeah? And how did they access that back part of that development?
Currently, and for the life of Echo Estates, there's not been an access. We are still leaving one access point, which is on this bottom edge, which is buffered by county property, an owner that's in the county that hasn't expressed anything, but that still does live there
So
for the future.
back to the back cul-de-sac on the left up
Yep.
there, the only way to get to that is through that entire
Correct.
road.
Correct.
Is it right?
Yep.
And there's no outlet in the back, no emergency access, right?
Correct.
But at the, at the cul-de-sac there,
Can you-
at the cul-de-sac that you see there going to BGA, it will have a gate, right?
No, you've already voted to remove
out.
that access point.
Oh, to remove that access
No, I
point?
voted against that.
There is no connectivity from that cul-de-sac is that correct, Joey? Didn't we just have an amendment that
No.
removed that?
No,
The parcel lines at the cul-de-sac, there's still a southern connection to the BGA campus.
Yes, there is.
The MOS was for the eastern, not the southern.
I got you. Okay.
Yes, so
Thank
the
you.
MOS was for the removal of the two eastern connections, not the connection to the south.
Correct.
Thank you for clarification.
So
thank you.
I need clarification. So you're saying, I'm sorry, in that cul-de-sac, there is still an emergency exit?
They are essentially building the cul-de-sac to the southern boundary so that can get access to BGA should that opportunity arise, and they can reroute or build a road in that section of the campus that abuts this development. So it's touching the southern boundary, which meets the criteria of being a southern connection, but there won't be a gate. It'll just
No
be a
gate.
cul-de-sac essentially,
Oh,
to where they could
Okay.
connect to in the
Okay.
future.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you ready to vote on removing lot number 31, or rather the bridge?
Bridge.
Okay.
The condition of approval.
Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. We're back to the original motion as amended multiple times, and would have, I think you wanted to make a statement.
Yeah, there was
On the motion, original motion is amended multiple times, and please, before we vote on the entire thing.
Thank you. There was a fifth item, and it really had to do with redrawing a few of the lines in the site map to show some larger lots. The issue that we have there is our stormwater ordinance, all riparian barrier or buffers shall be placed in open space to be maintained. So we actually preclude the ability for us to add those to a private lot. You're talking about lines on a page. Essentially, the land mass is the land mass that the house is sitting on. We just can't go into that site plan and draw those lines differently because we need to protect that, which I think all of you would want us to do, is make sure that that area is protected not by the landowner that's it's sitting on, but rather protect it within the buffer zone that's there. So that was the one that I wasn't able to do based on our ordinances prevented us from doing that. My only final comment is, I really have appreciated the process. I don't know that I thought that I was going to do this much on 16 homes on 50 acres, but I will say I appreciated the sentiment in which it was coming. It is an honest statement by the landowner that he only ever set out to do 7. I think he could have done 24. Well, he could have presented 24. I think 16 sort of splits that. And I will say the initial 7 is the first phase. And I've always taken him at his word that that's what he is intending to do. Whether or not the other 8 or 7 come to be at any time, who knows? But I still think contextually fair. On Envision Franklin, the only other note I was going to make, and I did explain this to the group when I met with the group a while back. Envision Franklin, the way that contextual piece is decided is it goes from the city towards the county. So when we say that it has to be contextual, what we're actually looking at is Echo Estates, which is smaller lots moving towards county bigger lots. Although on South Berry's Chapel, there are lots that are half acre, 1 acre. They're not all large lots. And so the contextual application of this, especially when you consider how large the lots are, they're not 5 acres. And we don't have that in the city. That is a county thing, but they are large lots in consideration of that. I hope this is a win-win. We've worked pretty hard to get here, and I feel like it's going to be a great development. There's going to be a lot of protection and saving of that river area, those buffer areas. I think it's about as good as we could get.
Any other comments? Are you ready to vote? Start with Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now move on to new business. Item number 9 is ordinance 2024-16 to amend the budget of the city of Franklin for FY 2023-24, establishing a public hearing on June the 11th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Caesar. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 10 is ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance of the city of Franklin adopting a budget for the FY 2024-25, providing an effective date, establishing a public hearing on June the 11th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill. Is there a second?
Second.
By the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 11 is ordinance 2024-18, an ordinance of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, establishing the municipal property tax levy for fiscal year 2024-25, providing an effective date, establishing a public hearing on June the 11th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson.
Second.
Second by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? We'll start with Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 12 is consideration of ordinance 2024-19, an ordinance of the City of Franklin to amend Appendix A, comprehensive fees and penalties, Chapter 17, refuse and trash disposal of the Franklin Municipal Code to increase the fees for collecting garbage and refuge, established a public hearing on June the 11th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill. Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Alderman Baggett.
So
Any discussion?
we have to,
My only comment prior to that is I don't know that we're ready to get to the public hearing based on the conversations I heard us have earlier today around
This
it.
is garbage. Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
literally,
Is that a comment on the item, or is that a comment on what's in the item?
That'll be good for.
People are going to remember
Now, that was some trash talking right there.
surprise.
I'm right next to you.
Trophy.
Are you on item 48, road impact fees or something?
Three cheers for Ann.
There we are. I don't have anything else to say.
I would just point out that the budget we just passed includes these rates in it. Correct?
We don't have to.
It is assumed
put
in
the
this
option
projected,
here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is this not the option one?
We,
That's in the 5-year
unless there
plan.
is
Is that the-
and again, I've heard some really great ideas. I mean, even in the, I've heard some different size trucks. The likelihood of us getting this done before July the 1st,
No.
very, very slim. When I'm talking about the creative ideas, why we would delay this, I guess, is what was just said that we need
We're
to delay.
talking about garbage fees.
Understand.
You have, I got you. I understand your creative ideas now.
Well, but to your point,
Yeah.
and you were
I
wanting
see
to
what you
delay,
mean. Yeah.
maybe. And I did hear that too, but I think, and I would be happy to support exploring whatever you guys want to explore, but also our budget includes it. So,
Yeah.
And you will have a public hearing too.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't this have the option?
and you'll have a public hearing in 2 weeks.
This option B. This is option 2,
Move
right?
forward, option 2.
Any other discussion? You ready to vote? You clear on what you're voting on? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
In order to move it forward, public hearing, yes.
Alderman Caesar.
No.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
No.
Vice Mayor Brown.
No.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes 4-3. Item 13, Resolution 2024-15, a resolution of the City of Franklin designating the city as a B City USA affiliate. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank
Second.
you. Seconded by Alderman Caesar. Way to go. Any discussion?
I'm a big fan.
Alderman Barnhill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Alderman Blanton?
Yes.
Alderman Caesar?
Yes.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
Alderman Berger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Alderman Baggett?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 14 is Resolution 2024-18, a resolution declaring certain sections of Jordan Road right-of-way as surplus real property and establishing conditions for disposal of that right-of-way. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 15 is Resolution 2024-41, a resolution to ratify the Williamson County Growth Plan as recommended by the Williamson County Growth Plan Coordinating Committee and to approve the interlocal agreement. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Alderman Berger. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Caesar. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 16 is a change order 1 to City of Franklin contract number 2023-0024 with Bell and Associates Construction LLC for bundled bridges construction and rehabilitation for a time extension of 66 calendar days and a cost increase of $51,792.18 to cover the cost of repairing a void under the approach slab on Bakers Bridge Avenue. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item 17, which is City of Franklin contract number 2023-0346 with pull-type players who are present tonight in mass for a lease agreement extension.
Move for approval.
Second.
Appropriate motion and second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Congratulations. Item 18, consideration of appointment of Alderman Greg Caesar to the Williamson County Water and Wastewater Authority. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Blanton.
Seems a
It's
it's a good spot for you.
Ready to vote?
Maybe we should discuss this.
That's a county body, so,
Oh,
anyway,
yes.
Alderman Barnhill.
Bless you.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
By the way, if anybody had voted against it, I was going to put them in that position.
Careful.
And lastly is, we need to vote on an appointment from our board to the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission. And Alderman Peterson has faithfully represented us, but we need to get this on the record, who will represent us, so I will entertain a motion.
Motion to sign her up.
And referring to signer up is Alderman Peterson.
Yes, I'm so
Will
sorry.
continue to represent us on
Second.
the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Vice Mayor, thank you. Ready to vote?
Are you okay
Alderman
with that?
Baggett, we're going to start with you.
Yes.
Alderman, Vice Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Let's think about this one. Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
That's on there.
Yes.
We're thinking.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
And Alderman Barnhill.
Always vote for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that she voted for herself. So, is there any other business that needs to come before this body? And is there,
Mayor, I've got one thing that I've got to bring up. I wanted the board to be aware of. Last week, the Planning Commission voted to change 4 items on Envision Franklin that we did not vote on those items, but when we recommended it. And so I've asked staff to look into this, made some pretty substantial changes to Envision Franklin, specifically with the Village Green concept in the east of town. It's caused me to really question some of the process and how we go through a 1.5-year process where we've had lots of dialogue and collaboration and discussion, and then at the last minute, make a change without, collaborating. I think the staff has put it, and I would agree, for many years, Planning Commission and BOMA have had a very unified, vision of Envision Franklin when we go into that adoption phase. In this case, a few amendments were made that I think we would all agree with, and then maybe some that we would like to bring brought back up. So I think we'll leave it to Eric to figure out how that gets brought back to us to review. It is a bit frustrating to have that kind of collaborative dialogue and then only to have it be changed at the last minute. And so we just wanted to make you all aware that I've had that discussion, and I'm sure if you all would like to speak with Eric and staff, that'd be welcome.
Thank you.
You know, it is a planning commission document.
We know.
It's, so.
Well, that's
but-
what we're
but
looking into.
No, it has to be.
Tennessee.
By the state law of Tennessee, the land use plan is a planning commission document, period. But the thing is, if people would like to hear more about that, in fact, I brought my little sheet of things that were changed in case anybody wanted to ask about it. But it is a planning commission document only. It is not.
I would like, and we're looking into it.
We're going to review state law related to that.
Oh, please do. But, come on.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good night.